they're not prosecuted. I think it's disgraceful.
Did he think it was disgraceful when he pled the Fifth in 1990 to avoid a deposition? All right, but that's about hypocrisy. Let's deal with the optics. Laura Coates, pleading the Fifth. Bad, bad. It means you did something. What's the rebuttal?
Well, the rebuttal is that you have every right to assert that particular privilege, particularly if you were exposed to both criminal and civil liability. And you're right, Chris. It really is a tactic. It's a way of saying, listen, Your Honor, there may be overlaps here, and the testimony I give in one will impact the testimony that I can give in another, or will expose me to greater legal jeopardy. And if that's the case, I would like to have the opportunity to prioritize the one that could lock me up in jail as opposed to one that could give me a monetary penalty of some sort. And the courts are usually helpful in doing that. The difference here, though, Chris, is that this judge in California is trying to assess whether or not a negative inference can be drawn from his failure to try to answer any questions about the non-disclosure agreement. And that may lead the judge to draw a negative inference that may ultimately help the Stormy Daniels case and hurt his claim that the NDA should stand and be viable.
Right. I mean, look, Michael, a little bit of this, Laura, perfect analysis. Thank you very much. I had to read up on it last night. You know all this instinctively. It's a little in the weeds for people in terms of what this means. And the civil case has its own problems. Michael Avenatti is very compelling on television, perhaps, but that doesn't mean he's going to be as compelling with his case in court. But for the Southern District and their criminal probe, him pleading the Fifth in the civil court means nothing.
That's right. It means nothing at all, and I don't think there was any expectation that in New York they thought that Cohen would testify or otherwise provide evidence for them. Their case is a criminal case where Cohen is a target of that investigation. The fight there is about attorney-client privilege and the review of the documents seized from his law office, and that will be primary among the decisions that Judge Wood has to make in that case. That's what's of concern to the Southern District, not the Stormy Daniels civil Fifth Amendment.
All right, let me ping pong on some other issues with both of you. Michael, let me stay with you. Rudy Giuliani worked with Bob Mueller back in the day, highly respected. We'll walk in there, we'll talk to him and say, hey, what's this really about? And there is no proof of collusion. Let's end it. Mueller will be impressed because he respects Rudy Giuliani. Is that the proper analysis?
I don't think so. I think that Rudy Giuliani and Mueller go back to the 9/11 days. It's been a long time since then. They may have mutual respect for one another, but Mueller has more respect for the process that he's undertaking, which is to determine whether or not there was criminal activity that falls within his mandate. And Rudy Giuliani is not going to change Mueller from that pursuit. And so he may come into Mueller and say, what's this all about? And Mueller may give him an answer to it or not. But in the end, Mueller's going to do what the facts of the evidence require of him, irrespective of his relationship with Rudy Giuliani. And it's fanciful to think otherwise.
Laura, can it end if the president doesn't sit down and talk to Mueller and or his investigators?
That'd be the beginning. Of course, think about it. If he has an interest, just like Mueller, they both have an interest in having a voluntary sit-down. If you're Trump, you want to have a voluntary sit-down, if you're going to have one at all, because you can have your lawyer present, unlike if you're in the grand jury. You can also set the parameters for the questioning. If you're Mueller, you want him to sit down voluntarily, because otherwise he would be in the unprecedented position of trying to compel through a subpoena, or if he flouts it, to actually have him held in contempt. That's never been done before, Chris, of a sitting president to either ask to be held in contempt if he ignores the subpoena or otherwise. So both parties are trying to come together, but ultimately Mueller has the upper hand because he has the grand jury subpoena power, assuming the president will respect it.
Percentage chance, Laura, that this probe will end without the president being interviewed?
I'm going to say 5 to 10%. He has to be interviewed. He is the person whose mens rea is the most important here. And he is the person, if he's not a target of the investigation, could actually tell the authorities, tell the investigators whether anyone of his team, anyone in his orbit, was involved in some way. He may be the missing jigsaw puzzle you can't do without.
Mens rea, Latin, it means the mental component, what the mindset was. That's what Laura's talking about. All right, let's play some sound from Jeff Sessions about the pardon power.
President or anyone in the administration discussed with you the possibility of President Trump pardoning Michael Cohen?
I am not able to reveal the contents of any communications I might have with the President of the United States or his top staff.
Legit answer from Jeff Sessions on that point, Michael Zeldin.
No, it's the false assertion of executive privilege. We've seen Attorney General Sessions do that time and again in his congressional testimony. It's for the president to assert that privilege, and that privilege relates to the deliberative process of senior executives and the president in policymaking. This does not, implicate that in any way, shape, or form, but that's been Sessions' refrain, and Congress has not required him to answer the question beyond that, and so it is what it is, and we have to just move forward from that.
Well, Laura, we got to wrap it up here, but I don't have to be as smart as you to know that he could have just said, no, we've never discussed it, and he didn't say that. Laura Coates, Michael Zeldin, thank you so much. One of the benefits of the gig is talking to people as smart as you two. Alice.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, now to this story. Teachers in Arizona are working multiple jobs to make ends meet. So what they hope to accomplish when they walk out of class today. That's next. Country, more than 100 school districts in the state are canceling classes today as teachers lobby for raises and for better school funding. CNN's Bill Weir talked to teachers who will be walking out. He is live in Phoenix with more. Bill, what have you learned?
Well, good morning, Allison. What we have here is a recipe we've seen sort of playing out across the country. It takes 50,000 or so teachers, put them in classrooms that are woefully broken and underfunded, underpay them for 10 years or so. You combine that with a legislature that's allergic to any sort of tax hikes. You put those two things together, let it simmer on Facebook, and what you have is the first walkout in Arizona history today. I talked to a lot of teachers filled with conflicted righteous indignation, but they're fired up and they're ready to send a message.
We started talking about what your outline looks like for your research paper.
During the day, Cindy Morton is an Arizona teacher.
In class yesterday. There it is. And you saved it yesterday?
And then she is a private tutor. On weekends, she's a caretaker of emotionally disabled kids, and 4 nights a week, she turns her car into a taxi. Do those kids have any idea you're driving Lyft after school?
Yeah, they do, actually.
Do they?
Yeah, somebody will say, oh, I want to go to Miss Morton's and work on this. And they'll be like, oh, no, she's got to go to work today. So come on in.
All right. One teacher with 4 jobs is hardly unusual in this state.
My oldest is a nanny. She literally makes more money than I do.
Is that right?
Yes, because she works for a great family who pays her very well.
How old is she?
19.
Elizabeth Millich takes home $320 a week, and out of that must outfit her entire classroom.
And then I just bought the carpets and the chair cover. These books are not from the district. Those are like my personal books from my own kids, bought books.
Her tales of BYO books and a shot of her tiny pay stub went viral on Facebook and have since been followed by hundreds of snapshots of vermin-filled classrooms and tattered textbooks, improvised air conditioners, and a globe with 2 Germanys. But of course, Arizona is not alone. The season of revolt started in West Virginia, where a 9-day strike brought a 5% raise, and then spread to Oklahoma, where teachers forced a rare tax hike to fund a $6,000 bump, but not enough to provide new chairs. So Donna Ross improvises with buckets from Lowe's.
And they sit like that, and they're ready to rock and roll. That's what I did with my money.
In Kentucky, a 1-day walkout brought stiff resistance from lawmakers and the harshest of guilt trips from Governor Matt Bevin.
How many hundreds of thousands of children today were left home alone? I guarantee you somewhere in Kentucky today a child was sexually assaulted that was left at home because there was nobody there to watch them.
The Kentucky governor was forced to apologize for that implication. And since guilt doesn't seem to be stopping this rolling red state revolt, some are trying threats. The Arizona superintendent said this week that teachers are breaking the law by walking out and could lose their certificates forever. But since Arizona has thousands of unfilled vacancies, most of these folks are ready to call that bluff. Arizona Republican Governor Doug Ducey says he wants to give some teachers a 20% raise over 3 years, but the legislature can't agree how to pay for it.
As a conservative Republican, I was actually kind of hopeful. But then you start kind of thinking, wait a second. So everything that has been said from the government actually isn't really true.
So you don't trust him, bottom line.
Correct.
But since her pay stub went viral, she's been getting gift cards and donated supplies from strangers around the world.
Bless her heart. Dear Mrs. Millich, With the most important job in the world, you shouldn't have to use your own funds for school supplies. Hope this helps defray those expenses. And then it's from the American School in London, a sixth grader.
A sixth grader.
Is that, I mean, I like, seriously, like, my eyes just welled up with tears, and I was like, that is the most precious thing.
Why would you not want to provide our kids with the best possible education? We do our best here. I need my leaders, I need my government to do the same. I need them to bring it every day, every single day, because I do.
Obviously, teachers don't go into it for the money, and so many are in deep love with their children, and legislators know that, and it is often sort of used as a lever in these sort of negotiations, Chris. But next up, Colorado, where teachers there today will voice their displeasure with the status quo. Who knows how long this one will last or what the results will be.
And it's good, Bill, that you are reminding people that this isn't new and it's not narrow. And for all the talk about technology and what we need in our classrooms, the teacher is the most valuable tool. So the problem's been around for a long time. Who's going to start doing something about it? Bill, this was the right way to tell this story. So important right now. Thank you, my friend. Good to see you. All right, plenty of April showers. May flowers, I don't know. We're going to have to see. But in the Northeast, do we have some dry weather coming? CNN meteorologist Chad Myers has your forecast. Horrible start to the fishing season weather-wise. You promised me you would do better. You lied again.
I did. I did. But you get sunshine today. I know it's hard to book a trip, you know, one day in advance, but that's what you have. More rain coming in tomorrow. The rain is finally moving out of Boston right now, and it will move away. You'll get sunshine today, but another storm system for the New York City area for tomorrow. It's down here in Atlanta for today, also into Knoxville as well. Let's move you ahead to 1 o'clock. It'll be raining in Atlanta. If you're flying through Atlanta, it could be slow. If you're driving through West Virginia or even North Carolina later on today, very heavy rainfall coming in. That rain does get to New York for tomorrow afternoon and into the rest of the week. It gets better because only one more front, and that's a cool front. Yes, it will cool you down because today, New York, you're going to get all the way to 67, D.C. 71, cool down into the 60s, but at least it dries out. Maybe Chris will be happy with this forecast. I'm not sure. 81 on Wednesday. Will the fish bite, or does he use the wrong bait?
Aha, interesting. Are you happy with that one?
Yeah, no, because he happens to be right. The problem is my own.
The problem is yours. All right. Well done, Chad.
Of disturbing allegations about professional misconduct.